The world is becoming globalized, and we're not going to be able to stop it. There's no stopping the globalization of the world, just like there was no stopping the Hellenization of the world in ancient Greek times and in the Near East and the Middle East of that time frame, Northern Africa, Europe, all around. It was going to happen whether we wanted to or not. There were these supposed great minds that were moving things forward and conquering lands and bringing it forth into this great mecca of knowledge and politics and culture, this beautiful cultural system, so we could build great libraries and have many try to make it in that world, and many did. I think what I'm finding is that most people are not understanding the cyclical nature of the movements of the world. And so if we can blend this, right? Because Plato in his great Republic, the great tome, always had an understanding that the individual and the society are integrated. The microcosm and the macrocosm are a must, and they must blend themselves in this beautiful marriage. And so I do these live streams because there's a lot of ideas that we just need to get off our chest, and I want others to know that they're not alone. They're not alone in thinking that things are strange. Not only that things are strange, they're weird, and they're only getting weirder. And so I must have us understand that this feeling of things getting weird, of us being in this madhouse, are not new. And there's so much not new that I played this before, and I'm gonna play it here for us all to see, is that the great Terence McKenna talked about it. He talked about it in such a way where he was trying to have others understand that it's not only just getting stranger, it's accelerating at such a fast pace. And so if we can understand, and this is my interpretation and my philosophy, and one that we try to have through the major ancient religions and contemporary mythological systems, is that if we understand the cyclical nature of these things, the adept can move through the world as an individual, interacting with other individuals, and we can formulate communities. And the globalization of the world doesn't have to be a horrendous thing. And as we move through the cycles of not only a society and as an individual, we can move through the cyclical nature of the earth itself, because things are getting strange. And we're going to make some claims here that maybe there are things out there that we think we understand, but we truly do not. And 2026 is only going to get stranger. So let's go to the great Terence McKenna.
He is not necessarily good, or novelty is complex. That's what it is. And so I see really a concatenation of tendencies and forces here at the end. It's only going to get weirder. The level of contradiction is going to rise excruciatingly, even beyond the excruciating present levels of contradiction. I think it's just going to get weirder and weirder and weirder, and finally it's going to be so weird that people are going to have to talk about how weird it is. And at that point, novelty theory can come out of the woods, because eventually people are going to say, what the hell is going on?
And that's exactly what we're saying. What the absolute hell is going on? What has happened this year that someone like the great Terence McKenna couldn't even comprehend? What's happened this year is that we've gone from strange to even weirder. A reality TV host, a reality TV show, a realtor, one of the great realtors of America is the president of the United States of America. And he already was once before, but you know, everyone wants to state the claim that he is going to save the world, right? And then others think he is going to demolish the world. And I think that we give people too much power, obviously, which is why all these strange dystopian terms are being laced at a single individual. And I think, again, one of the crazy things we do is we want to encompass it into one individual. It's like an egregore, a great entity that is created as an idea and is turned into a thought form that all of a sudden has agency in its own right. Agency associated to our own collective understanding and collective mind of the energy that we put forth into it. Ideas taking shape and becoming an entity in and of themselves. Lots of things are like that. This man at the head of office is one of those things, and we have given him power through years and years and years of buildup, right? And I'm saying he's good, I'm not saying he's bad. That's not the point, I think, of of this position as as an individual, as me, as like a philosopher, as a Magus in the media, the speaking voice of whatever this egregore I'm wanting to help create as well. We're going to give energy to it so we can see it from a different lens. Like these talking heads out there in the world are giving us a headache with their misunderstanding of symbolism and metaphor and analogy. Yes, we have to take place and understand a lot of things are happening, a lot of crazy laws. How many times did the Donald just sign things one after another with this great sword, this great pen, this magical implement? The chaos magician himself, Donald, he has done crazy things. He takes this energy and he moves it through, and we forget that there's actually a whole team in the system of archonic, real people behind him, a system that has been in place for a very long time. So let's not have a misunderstanding, because we must understand the lens of the political, the polis, as Aristotle would say. We can't get away from the political, but we can bring it back into the realms of the philosophical, the metaphysical, the cosmological, history itself, as we move through things. Because if we only take it as what it is, this 4 years to the 4 years before it, with the great Sleepy Joe, and then the Donald before then, and then the Obama, and back and forth Bushes. We're gonna fall into a sleep like a martial artist, right? As we're moving as martial artists, as you're boxing, you're doing jiu-jitsu, or any kind of art where you're having a sparring session, or even with yourself, there's forming a rhythm. And you tend to fall asleep if you fall too much into the rhythm. That's why we have to take just a brief step back so we can see it differently. Because as long as it keeps getting weirder and weirder and weirder until we're all just kind of like, what the hell is going on? Because the firestorm that the Donald brought into our lives in the beginning of the year, right? After we were trying to figure out where the hell were we the year before, then the whole West Coast, the great Hollywood, the occult mecca of America for a long time, the place where magic takes place, it started to burn down. The Great Fire, which was in one respects in the political, turned into the storytelling, and all of a sudden LA was burning. What's going on? As LA burns, we were like, we're actually unleashing a lot of things. A lot of strange things happened. And 26 is here, the year of peace, but also the year where we must understand our place within the peace. Because if we are moving into the year of the fire horse, whatever that means, I'm not stating to know what that means, but we can symbolize that down to again, if we become the great horse that moves with steadfastness and the one who can balance the great powers, this beautiful ancient animal, then the fires won't hurt so bad. Because what if we're the ones who can walk steady in the fire? And that's what I'm trying to get the point across. And why I'm not afraid, because if we go through year after year, I don't think it's ever not been strange and not been crazy, because novelty continues to increase. What does that mean? In this respect, I can mean it as information, as Robert Anton Wilson talked about. Information continues to increase and accelerate, and that information and that acceleration is like in the acceleration of knowledge. Look where we've been to where we're going. I'm not saying knowledge is in wisdom, because that's different, but knowledge is information, and we're building it. And we're creating this new Akashic records, this new information keeping system. We're speaking through it right now. And that's why it's so beautiful. And that's why globalization, this new Atlantis, this world, this spaceship Earth, let's not fall into this folly that any one person is running it. Because what we're trying to help people understand, and I think that's what the great knowledge of the great adepts of old, the great magical world, the great magical, metaphysical, physio world of myth is here for. That you become your own main character in that anime, in that story. You're the heroes. You're the heroes. You're the hero on his adventure, on his hero's journey. And so, again, I just want us to not throw out the individual, but as Grant Morrison talked about, the individual was but a scaffolding to what has come next. And the thing is, none of us know what has come next, because what is next, I think, is going to be more insane than we can ever imagine. So let's go back to the great Terence McKenna.
It's just too nuts. It's not enough to say it's nuts. You have to explain why it's so nuts. I look for the invention of artificial life, the cloning of human beings, possible contact with extraterrestrials.
I think if we could name all those off, let's hear that again, because I'm pretty sure that's what's going on right now, right?
Possible contact with extraterrestrials.
Possible contact with extraterrestrials we've never before. We have probably, but oh my Lord. Oh my UFO, oh my UAP, craziness. Every day people are trying to tell us that disclosure is coming. Maybe disclosure has already been here. I think that is maybe only going around in the conspiratorial realms or the occult realms or the magical realms or the storytelling realms or the schizo poster realms. But the idea is that what if disclosure was already here and we missed it? Because I think they've been trying to talk to us about disclosure forever. And right now we're breaking things down into their strange terms. UAP before was UFO, and before we probably talked about it as fairy tales and like fairies, angels, you know, elementals or whatnot. And so if we can go back to our stories, I think we can have a better understanding of these collective thought forms we call UFOs or UAPs. Because as the great Jacques Vallée talked about it, as Carl Jung talked about, is what we do is we put around the psychic energy of the unknown when we place it in a worldview that we know. And so what if the great storytellers of today, maybe not even that great, but the ones who are formulating what our imaginations are making these unknown things into? So these are just the thoughts. Why do we think UFOs look the way they do? Like drones, like spaceships, like these saucers? I don't know. We have ideas. Maybe it's because it's been pushed into our minds that we have to think like that. And so that's why we take on new systems, the magical Western esoteric system of what could these things possibly be, these unknowns? What if they're not UFOs or UAPs at all? Maybe the interdimensional, maybe the ultra dimensional, or maybe it's parts of ourselves that we're trying to get to know better, and yet we keep pushing away.